Hi, my name is Monica, and today I'm going to share with you some advice for applying to be a teacher that I wish I would have known during my process. If you're anything like me, when I was applying, I was YouTubing and Googling and just searching for as much information as possible about how to interview, what kind of questions they will be asking, what I need to do to prepare, specifically geared toward teaching. Because I feel like all of the things that are out there right now are geared toward 9 to 5 corporate America, honestly. And there was no solid answers that really made me feel more prepared to have a teacher interview. And so I wanted to help someone else out there that had the same questions as me. So the first question that I had was, I'm applying, and I'm not getting anywhere. So the first piece of advice I am going to give you that I wish that I had is networking. Networking. Number one biggest thing I can tell you. Because oftentimes it takes someone already in the school district or in the school system to even get a foot into the door, to even look at your resume, to even look at your application. And that's what I learned the hard way. So I was applying every single day for several months before I reached out to one of my mentors who used to be my professor in college and undergrad, and was just like, hey, I'm looking for a job. I just wanted to, put it out there and see if you knew of any good schools or anything that were hiring. And she sent an email or made a phone call or something, and suddenly the next day I had 2 separate principals calling me to set up an interview, and it happened that quickly. And I'm like, I've been doing this for months, and I don't know if it was pride or what the case was, but it was like I did really want to really rest on my resume and my credentials, but it takes someone on the inside to get your foot in the door. And oftentimes these jobs that are being posted, they already have someone lined up for that job, and it's really just a formality to even put it on the website in the first place. So networking. Professors that you had in the education department at your undergrad, your facilitating teacher when you're student teaching, or your field experiences, whatever they may have called it at your school. Anytime you went into a school and worked with a teacher in a classroom, keep in contact with them. They're going to be invaluable during your application process because they already are in and they already have their foot in the door, so they can help you as long as you have those positive connections. You did well when you were there, and keeping the bridges strong. Even just, your family members who are teachers or whatever the case may be, old teachers, your elementary school teachers, your middle school teachers, reaching out and just being like, hey, you were really impactful to me. You made me want to be a teacher. Do you know any way to help me? Whatever the case may be. But networking, keeping bridges strong, because though that is literally the only way that you're going to get in is by having someone already in that is going to be able to say, hey, good person, look at her resume. Networking, number one. Number two, interview questions. I Googled everything, and I got some great interview questions that any interviewer may ask about your strengths, your weaknesses, whatever the case may be. But I wanted to know specifically, what are they going to ask me as a teacher? I want to be able to prepare for it. I want to be able to answer it to the best of my ability. And so some of the questions that I was asked were, how do you integrate technology into your classroom? Some specific ways that you do that. How do you differentiate instruction? How do you, how do you individualize instruction to meet the needs of your highs, your mediums, your lows, and everyone in between? How do you handle behavior? A lot of tell me a time when blank. So tell me a time when you had a conflict with another coworker. How did you handle that? And things like that. So a lot of those scenario type questions, I got a lot of those, and those are kind of ones that you really can't prepare for. You can in a broad sense, but they could be so specific that you're like, oh, let me think of something, an example that's going to make me look good and come off as a strong quality, but at the same time something that was real. Because when you're, telling an example that didn't really happen to you, or you're like, oh yeah, no, I got along great with everyone, we want to know the real, the good, the nitty gritty stuff, honestly. So that was another one. And I want to also say that the questions that they ask you during the interview are kind of giving you insight as to what is a really big priority at their school. At my current school, they ask a lot about technology integration. They ask a lot about collaborative learning, project-based learning, and things like that. And so I know that was a big, priority at my school. STEM is really big at my school and things like that. If your school's asking a lot about behavior management and the way you do things, that might be a really big focus at that school. And so it just depends, but use that as a time to also analyze what this school's priorities are and see if you are a right fit for this school. And always have questions at the end. When they say, do you have any questions for me? Always have questions. Some of the questions that I've asked are, can you tell me a little bit about the culture of your school? And I've always got really good responses from that. And then also, like, what is your favorite part about this? What was your favorite part about the school year? What surprised you the most about the school year or about your job? And I'm talking to the principal or maybe another teacher, and I feel like just like really wanting to know what was your experience, so that they can give you insight, but then that also really taps into, hey, I really am interested and want to know. And so always have questions, but those are just some of the interview questions that I was curious about. And last but not least, preparation. Just being prepared. I was in a unique situation where I was applying to a state where I was not currently living in when I was going through the process, and so I did a lot of Skype interviews, and I was oftentimes the one that suggested it. So when they were like, hey, we'd like to schedule you to come in on this date, and I'm like, unfortunately I'm not living in the city, but I'll be moving back on this date. Is it possible to set up a Skype interview at that same time? And so giving that as an option if you are unable to go to the location, if you're out of the city or whatever the case may be, or even just whatever the case may be, suggest an alternative option, being prepared, and having a portfolio. And lastly, once again, because I was out of state, I had a sample video of me teaching a lesson. And so oftentimes to be a teacher, they want you to come in and do a sample lesson plan in their school to see, how you teach. And because I could not physically do that, I was asked on my first interview if I had one. And so during my second interview, before they even got a chance to ask, I said, hi, I have a video of me teaching. Would you like me to send that along to give you a better insight on, to my abilities and my teaching style? And they were like, wow, yes, we would love that. And so I felt like that preparedness was really, really, played a really key part into me looking like, hey, she's actually 2 steps ahead and on top of it. So hopefully this helped to refresh networking, interview questions that are specifically geared toward teachers, and then just being prepared no matter where you are, no matter what the situation. And hopefully this helps you, and good luck on your interviews. Good luck hopefully on your pursuit of being a teacher. Have a good one.